This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Take a load off Fanny. Take a load free.
Welcome to Boomer Life on CL 650. And with us in the studio today, Dr. Chris Coburn, the medical director and surgeon at SmartShape Weight Loss Center. It offers the most comprehensive weight loss management programs, such as the lap band, the gastric sleeve, and the gastric balloon. We've been talking about the importance of why it is so good for your health to get rid of that excess weight, to get away from the things that are causing diabetes, hypertension, strain on your joints, things that could eventually ruin your quality of life. And you have a chance with safe procedures, well proven, well documented, to be proven procedures at these clinics that are pretty much all across the country. Before we forget, Dr. Coburn, your website again?
SmartShape.ca.
Okay, SmartShape.ca. One of the difficulties I would think that somebody who is obese must go through is facing the fact that they need help. Nobody wants to have the intervention with their best friend, even their relative, to go and say, you are obese and maybe on the way to being morbidly obese. You have to make that decision, and that has got to be tough. And boy, when they call your offices, it must be with great trepidation.
Yeah, we hear all sorts of stories from people who have been afraid to make the call. Most of it commonly just through misunderstanding about what it is we do at SmartShape, misunderstanding about how these solutions can help them. But we encourage people to just call. There's no charge to call. There's no charge to talk to one of our surgeons. We want to help people understand what options they have available, whether it's the sleeve or the balloon or the band, and how that might help. But it's not to be ashamed. And we find people, it's interesting, when they do make the decision and they do achieve the kind of success that they can, the overwhelming sentiment is, I wish I'd done this 10 years ago. I would have done it for twice the cost. There's all sorts of sentiments that we hear, but people need to just pick up the phone, really, and just start asking some questions. I do caution people about going to the internet for some of this stuff, because you will read all sorts of stuff about weight loss that may or may not be true. So the internet can be the kind of place where you can get some great information, but you need to be careful. But I think you'll find at our website, smartshape.ca, there is a lot of information, and again, we've got a great team of people, a great skilled team of people, and we've done thousands of these procedures.
And I've been reading some of the must-dos for people who are at your end, who are taking the calls. I mean, somebody may have that phone in their hand and saying they're about to check it out, so you don't waste time getting to people.
No, I mean, we want to talk to people right away, and they can always, middle of the night, send us an email, or there's a contact form that they can fill out, and we'll get back to them right away. SmartShape, I'm really proud of our team. Again, a great team of people. We actually received accreditation last year from the Surgical Review Corporation, an independent body in the U.S. We are now Canada's first and only fully accredited Center of Excellence in bariatric surgery in Canada. And that means something. That means that an independent body has looked at what we do and recognizes that what we do is the right thing and that we do it well.
I would think then that when somebody picks up the phone and they start talking to you, that I'll bet you a lot of stories come pouring out. The relief that they finally, somebody that's got a sympathetic ear that can say, listen, you know what, we understand. Can you tell me about, without naming names, what some of the people have? What do they tell you when they call into your centers?
Well, they tell us about their frustrations over and over again. I hear dozens of times every week about people who have lost weight and then put it back on and lost it, and they're now given up. They now think that it's hopeless, that there's no way that they can actually lose the weight and keep it off. So we need to encourage them and say, no, there are other options that you haven't tried, ones that are effective. So there's a certain level of discouragement amongst people who call. We need to overcome that. The other thing is that they have this fear that what we do with the lap band or sleeve is going to be, they're going to fail again, because everything they've done in the weight loss field before, they failed at. And we tell people it's going to take you 2 or 3 months before you sort of figure this out and you realize that this feels different. This now, what we do at SmartShape with the band and the sleeve and even with the balloon, is give you a feeling of control again. in that many of our patients tell us they feel out of control. Their eating is out of control. All they think about is what's for lunch, what's for dinner, what's for breakfast. And when you can satisfy the brain and you can make the brain think that you've eaten more than you have, you feel in control. And there's just such a sense of relief that eating is not ruling their lives anymore.
And I would think after they start to see results, it's not just a matter of relief. They can take some pride in themselves again and say, look, at being in control, those are simple words to say, but to have control of your life and say, I'm improving my life, that I can get back in the game, that I can be back with my family, back with my coworkers, it's got to be huge.
Yeah, it's huge. And that's when we start to see the people at the 6 months and the 9-month mark, when they've achieved this sort of significant weight loss that they know is going to stay off. They start to tell us about the things that they can do again that they couldn't do before. You know, there's just so many stories. The young girl who, young Italian girl actually, who was really wanted to just have a normal life. She weighed 300 pounds. Had not, unfortunately, at that point in her life, not really met any men. She'd not had a social life. And she came into the clinic one day and was crying and crying. And we asked her, well, what's the problem? And she said she'd lost about 100 pounds. She was down around 200. She had gone to the mall, and she'd opened as she went into the mall, a man opened the door and winked at her. And for her, that was a sentimental moment that suddenly men were noticing her that hadn't noticed her in the past. And I mean, it's not right that you know, obesity has such a stigma about it, but that's a success story that warmed all of our hearts to hear that. And I literally, we've got hundreds and hundreds of these stories. And I encourage people to call us at SmartShape. We're happy to talk to you. We're happy to share our stories. We're happy to have you speak with some of our ambassadors, people who've had success and want to share their story as well.
How about people who are, and I don't want to call anybody old, let's say older, in their 60s, they've struggled with this, and they're really, is it too late for them?
No. I think what you need to do is define your goals. What is it about your weight that's the problem? So if somebody's at the point where they're about to need a walker or a cane or a wheelchair, and their goal is they just want to get enough pain relief from their joints that they can walk normally, very achievable goals. And again, I can't stress enough that what we do, these procedures are safe. These are not major invasive procedures. The lap band, for example, is an outpatient procedure. You'd be home the same day. And you can control your weight loss by controlling the adjustments of the band.
And I think it's important as we talk about these procedures, we've talked about the testing, the study that's gone into it. You are time tested. This is a medically safe procedure. Yeah. You're the top company in the country that's doing this right now. You have certification. You have approval of one of the highest U.S. medical bodies in dealing with this. So there is that level of confidence you should have to at least pick up the phone, and more people are. Yeah. And again, I think it's important to talk about the difference. You know, 80% of your patients are going to be women.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Again, we've talked about the differences between men and women and how they perceive weight as a problem for them or not. You know, but you need confidence. You need to know that you're dealing with a group of people who are committed to their health. All the decisions we make at SmartShape about the device that we use, an FDA-approved device, the training for our staff, the ongoing medical education that they get, all of that is critical to us to be reliable and ethical partners with our patients in their weight loss journey.
And I would think people who are entering into an agreement with you to undertake this very important step in their life, they pretty much have to write themselves a contract to say that we are going to make this succeed.
Yeah, and we work with them. The thing is, they've got help. They're not doing this on their own. They're not given some prescription and some pills and say, go out and do it. We want to be there to help them at SmartShape.
You've been listening to Boomer Life on CIL 650. We've been talking today with Dr. Chris Coburn, the medical director and surgeon at SmartShape Weight Loss Center. They offer the most comprehensive weight loss management programs like the lap band, the gastric sleeve, and the gastric balloon. And once more, your website?
Smartshape.ca. Give us a call.